Good morning. This is John Harder with coming to you live on YouTube with episode number 141. Ways of building communities of health and prosperity using TBC and, of course, free energy. All right, so today is our moving day. We have lived here for 1 month today, and we are now moving to another state just north of here, Nayarit. And so we're looking forward to living there. There we'll have air conditioning. Here we didn't, and it was, well, we get rather warm weather here, so air conditioning really would be a kind of a nice luxury to have, or will be, because now we will have it. So now, as soon as we are moved, I expect to have quite a bit more time to also work on the free energy project. And where we're at with that is that both of my brothers are truck drivers that are working on the same project, and they don't have very much time on their hands to work with it. However, my brother Pete, his son, is also now getting involved, and so he's going to work on it too. But he also is quite busy. His business is he puts up buildings like chicken barns, pig barns, those type of buildings, and so he's also quite busy. So until we can somehow pry loose enough time to get the prototype made, so we can do the proper testing to see what size the engines have to be for these units. Oh, hi, Christina. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. Until then, it's going to be kind of more talk than action, pretty much, because obviously we can't really start any sort of production until we have a prototype, so that we can test the power it puts out at all different sorts of RPMs. Now, what is really interesting that we do know about this is that the power increase is exponential at the increase of RPMs. So, and that makes it very, very, very interesting as to how these units are going to work, because the engines are they're not conventional engines. These engines, they don't burn anything. They don't burn any type of fuel or nothing. So they have it's a very, very different type of engine, and yet Of course, at this point, it's only speculation, or only, how should I say, it's only as far as our understanding is of how it works, is at this point the only thing we can go by. And yeah, but as far as I understand it, the way that it's going to work is that the increase of the size of engine won't need to be much to create much more power. Like, to double the power in size, it's going to take not that much bigger of an engine to increase the power, like double or triple or whatever kind of thing. So it is a very exciting adventure that we're embarking upon. And personally, I can't wait to see, to do the testing, to see how they're going to perform. And I'm sure as we start testing and stuff, we will very likely find weak spots too. If we don't, then I'll have to really, we'll have to really pat ourselves on the back for getting it right the first time. Now, I want to go back to TBC now, because obviously the energy units aren't going to be producing power yet for a little while, and yet I believe that their presence would add to the TBC community in huge quantities, because of how we're going to be implementing it. The units, they're going to be partly purchasable with TBC. So I've been talking to some people about it here in Mexico, and of course, some people are very excited about it right away. They want to get involved with it, which is a great idea. Once we can get them involved, and at this point, I had made some drawings, but at this point still very incomplete, and so that's going to be my first project, is to make the drawings complete enough that we can use it as a guide for the parts. What is unique about them is that there aren't very many parts compared to a normal engine. The amount of parts that these engines have or will have is a very, very small number. So it's actually very simple. They're actually a much simpler engine to build than a conventional engine. Again, the technology has been available for way longer than what fuel burning engines have been. The only thing is that the people that were in control of guiding, how should I say, putting in the rules as to what they allowed to be built and what they didn't. Well, they didn't allow this. They didn't allow something that they couldn't continuously charge people for. And so therefore is why all of that was shelved and left behind, and the industry was pushed forward making things where as much as possible we could be charged, you know, monthly, or of course by per use or whoever, right? As the you know, the power bills are usually monthly charges. Here in Mexico, they're bi-monthly, and but in Canada, it's definitely monthly. And then, of course, in the summertime, when we use a lot more, like for instance for air conditioners or whatever, then the charges increase. The more you use, the more they charge per kilowatt hour, kind of thing. Now, looking at this picture, none of that would have actually needed to be, because you know, we as humanity, we wouldn't have needed to cooperate with those people, but we did, right? We didn't have people standing up to them. This is the first time. This is the first time that we have a person, well, not just one person, but people that literally are standing up to them to actually uproot the deep state. And that is a very exciting project all on its own. That finally humanity will actually experience freedom. At this point, through the news medias and so on, there is still, the mainstream media is still mainly propaganda and false information, disinformation, and so on. But as we gain more power, that will slowly phase away. It is actually amazing what they have accomplished, Trump and and of course the people that he works with, what they have accomplished so far. Thank you very much, Haney, for joining me in this broadcast as well. And Adnan, thank you also for tuning in. I really appreciate it. All right, so now I have basically updated you on the news as to where we are with the engines for the generator units. Now, let me just also throw in here, as since I'm talking about that, the actual units that I had in mind to build were actually not going to be driven by any engines. They run by magnets. However, these magnets are extremely complex and very expensive to build, and so that is a project that we're going to take on afterwards. But we're gonna get moving with a much simpler way of doing it, which we would have been doing anyway, because there are many other applications for these engines. Like for instance, powering large greenhouses and cars. They can be put in cars and trains. Any of these applications, we can get rid of the pollution engines and install these engines that run for free. So if that isn't exciting to you, then I'm not quite sure. Maybe you have plenty of money to pay for your fuel and all that, and that's good. That's good. But what I'm looking at is also that the pollution that is now the amount of pollution that goes into the air with all of the generating of electricity and the vehicles and trains and jets and all of these things. When all of that disappears, we will truly have a very, very clean atmosphere, right? So that is very exciting. And I know that at this point, you look at the world economy, I don't see any country that is planning for that kind of thing. But that, I believe, is a surprise that is going to come along that will change the world in a really major, major way as to how we do things and the expenses that we are going to have as people, which will actually bring back much, much time that we now are losing in order to produce a living. Just imagine the economy um, changing to TBC, where there's plenty of money for everybody, and also at the same time the bills are diminishing. You know, many of the bills just won't be there. Uh, it'll take so much less money to live, and there will be so much more money than what there is now in this debt-based system. So, I mean, looking at those at that ratio, or those type of that type of lifestyle, it just makes so much more sense that we'll have time to, you know, to have parties, have get together as people, to you know, to visit and just enjoy. Also having another thing that I'd like to actually mention here too is how much anarchism is picking up. And I know that many people are not very anarchist minded, and I think it's mainly due to false concept that we have been made to believe. We've been made to believe that people are evil. You know, that if you try to just be nice, while people are evil, they're going to take advantage of you. But we've got to remember that it's not people that are like that. These elite that have been, well, I don't think they're elite at all, but these people that have been in control, they're not human. Now maybe that's a subject that you need to do a lot of research on for you to understand this, but if you do your proper research, you will actually find out that they're actually not humans, and that is why they have ruled and with such insanity, to absolutely having no moral whatsoever, just using humanity in the worst way that they, you know, that we allowed them to. And so knowing that, it helps us to understand why the world is the way it is. And then of course spreading the propaganda or the false information that we as people are by nature evil, and that's actually not the case. So the idea of anarchism, if you understand what anarchy is, makes perfect sense, and it is growing. It is growing exponentially. So it is really, really interesting to see the world that we're entering in. There is so much to look forward to. And now TBC, I know that we have leaders that are very, very strongly pushing uh, the or should I say the plan that TBC has for cash flow, these cash flow steps, and I think they are great. It's a great way to do it. Now, however, even though I sometimes might speak out a little strongly, uh, but yet it is not, for me, it's not my intention to try to make anybody do what they don't want to do. I believe that we are free creatures. I believe that we are meant to be free. We are not meant to be manipulated and you know, told what to do by anyone. We're not meant to be manhandled. That's not who we are. And furthermore, I believe in treating others as I want to be treated. And so to come, you know, to come along and say that you have to do this or you have to do that or whatever, that's just not my style. I will tell you that those steps work. They work. We know that. And for people who want to create cash flow, following those steps is quite possibly the easiest way to create cash flow on the internet, because of how you can so easily get leads on Facebook, and of course the way the steps are laid out, that is that um, after you accept the gift and you follow the steps, you know, doing the profile, and then of course you're paying for the wallet, setting up the wallet, and then once you're all set up, of course, you sign up all of your household and then closest friends, and then you move on to helping them finish the steps. And you know, this is kind of a learning process, but after you've done it yourself, then it's not so hard to teach others to do that. Again, my scenario is that I don't push for it. I am not a pusher. If people want to create cash flow and they ask me how, well, I have a good place for them to take them to and say, look, here's how you do it. This is what you can do, you know. However, it's not up to me whether they follow the steps or not. That's not my business. Whether they follow the steps is their business. So that's as far as my help goes. Now, my first question is, if I get questioned, like if they ask me, if someone contacts me and say, well, how do I create cash flow in TBC? Well, my first question is, where are you in those steps? What are you doing? If it's not working for you, then where are you in the steps, and where are you stuck? At what point is there that I can help you or whatever? So that's the way that I approach this. Now, I know that some people, they probably need more nudging than that. And if that is the case, if you're a person who wants aggressiveness, and you want to be approached aggressively, or should I say you want to be pushed, yeah, I can do that. I can do that too, but you're gonna have to pay me to do that. You're gonna have to pay me, and when you do that, then this Mr. Nice Guy will actually kind of disappear, and we will be working very, very direct as to what your hangups are. That's another side of me, but that is a side where you will have to literally ask that of me, and when you do, you will get results. You will get results. Other than that, I will not push. I will only guide you to the steps where they are, and what there is that you can do, and that's about it. But if you want to be pushed, then you pay for that, and push you'll have. Okay. So all right. Having said that, we will. I think I basically have said what I had to say for this hangout. I don't know how much time I have. Oh, there we are, 26 minutes. I could go a little bit longer. Let's see, what else is there? Any questions that you have? Let's see here. One. Good morning, Christina. Yes. Hey, everyone. Okay. I am very interested in the generator units, as I already tried something like that a few years back. That is awesome. Okay. Hey, that is very interesting. So, did your engine not work, or how did that work out? Now, I know from the basic science of how the engines work. I have, if per se, that if the project wouldn't work, then I'll have to admit that that I'd have to say that I have that the understanding I have about it would have been a very huge misconception if that doesn't work. But my confidence level is extremely high that it absolutely works. So of course we do have to prove it. We do have to prove it, and without proving it and testing it, obviously we won't really know very much how these things work. So anyhow, thank you so much for the hangout, for tuning in, and thank you for the interest in the generators. Okay, I had to stop when I moved here. No space to work with it, and my strength has deteriorated too much. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, one of my brothers, Jake, who does broadcast as well, he has made units now. The ones that he has made, they run on electric only, which would also work. From myself, I'd have to gain a huge amount of understanding of how those work before I would really be able to even tell you much about it. But he has made a couple of them, and they do work. However, for the amount of power that we want to generate and so on, plus also we want to be able to use these engines on irrigation units for pumping water, and to be able to put them in vehicles and all of those kind of things. So we kind of need the engine anyways. And this is why we're approaching it for generators as well at this point. Now later we want to also make the other ones that are purely run on magnets, which is going to be really, really awesome. That technology is already available, we know that. It's just that they are so extremely complex and expensive to build. So, all right, thank you very much for tuning in and hanging out with me here. I really appreciate that. And so hopefully that I've given you an update that will help you in some way. And I wish you a wonderful day. And so we're going to be having some breakfast, and then we're going to be packing up to move to our new location. Thank you so much.